All right, so welcome to the show, y'all. If y'all joining us for the first time, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the video. Tonight we have a very special topic, and we're gonna talk about why people pick and choose certain words that we choose to use that affect our daily activity. Man, where we gonna start at? I think the first where we want to start at is with the actual caption. We're gonna start with that word first, the judgmental word. I actually, it's like, okay, I actually took the judgmental word because of its shock value. Like a lot of people, when they hear that word, automatically, it's a negative connotation that comes with it. They automatically feel like it's just something. It's judgmental. You know, I think that's how we are taught it initially, how it's presented to us. Like, don't be judgmental. And in doing that, I think that we don't allow full examination of the word. And because we're not taught the full examination of the word to break down judge and the mental, then it stops right there. It stops just at the judgmental and how it's taught to us, how we learned it. Now, we have the word judge. And when we look at judge, what's the most familiar thing that we look at, that we correlate to a judge is the courthouse and legal proceedings.
The courts, yeah, the court system, the judges.
So when we look at that, you know, some people, it's always double-sided with that too. You know, some people look at it like, you know, it isn't a fair fight. Sometimes that's justified to think like that. Then sometimes, you know, we praise the courts because we need them to lock up criminals. You know, people who that's actually doing criminal stuff. So, and there's also a level to what we, you know, agree is criminality as well too. So, I mean, that's, you know, that's something that we can examine further in another show. But just the judge, that first part.
Like for me, right? So because we talking about words peace, I'm the God Ali Dawood BK Soul Farm in the building. It's a pleasure to meet you, sis. Pleasure to meet you again, brother. Um,
All the time. Peace.
like so when we talk about words, like the one thing we gotta really, really take in consideration is like for the most part, we're all from different regions. So we use words differently. So we have a different understanding of how we use those words colloquially within ourselves, amongst our peers and our family, right? When you take in consideration somebody from up north and somebody from down south talking about the same things, they got two completely different aspects. You bring in somebody from across the water, any part, right? All they different cultural aspects, and now you want to introduce English in a foreign language with a foreign thought process in a place where it's confusing to us in the first place because we haven't agreed on a commonality or a common standard. It's confusing, right? So like shows like this and topics like this are important because we got to get it out, right? We got to get to we got to be able to set a foundation so we can even be able to figure out what is being judgmental, right? Who got the right to judge in the first place, right? Like, is a lot, but that's my little piece. Get
Okay.
us started.
Jazz, what you think about what you think about that? What you think about the judge,
Go
you
ahead.
know?
So definitely, when you definitely there's like a negative connotation when you hear the word judgment, as it pertains to the title of the show. What's the title? Judgment. Could you
Well,
say that again for me?
we it's why we pick words, why we pick and choose the words.
Oh, why you say certain words?
Right. But judgmental is one of those words that, later on we're gonna break down. We're gonna get to why, it could be bad, it could be good, it could be just misunderstood. Is it application of the word? Is it perception of it?
Right.
You know,
Sometimes
like
it's just
Ali,
even
like
the
Ali was
tone of
saying,
your
is
voice,
tone of voice, okay?
even, or your mannerisms when you're saying certain things. And definitely, I think the way that Ali was saying, if you're from a certain place, you're from a different neighborhood, whatever, different part of the city, wherever, you use certain words in the way that you were brought up to use them, and the way that they mean something to you, but you might go somewhere else and that same word means something different, or you don't use that word for a certain reason. And you know that's just about exploring differences between people. But the judgment piece, I don't think judgment should be seen as a negative, but it is, just with the way it is, in society. Judgment, no one ever says you're judging me, positively. They say, oh, you're judging me, like, don't, only God can judge me, that type of thing, because no one wants to be judged for for people to have a preconceived notion of them, and whatever God you believe, whatever. But no one wants to have a preconceived notion of them already thought out before you get to know a person. But some people, they don't care, they're just like, I am who I am. You can say whatever you want. It doesn't, you know, hurt me or whatever. But words, they do have meaning and they do have power, no matter, if it's big, little, whatever. But different people take it differently with whatever you're saying to them,
Right, how people
depending on the
receive it.
situation and the context of the words, obviously, depending on the context and the situation of what you're saying to someone, or
Context.
judging them.
Yeah, I think what the sister said was powerful as far as the whole only God can judge me, right? Because a huge aspect of how we even understand words is through our religion, our religious thought process, right? So if you do come from a mindset where only God can judge you, then somebody else looking down. So that's why I say it's funny, right?
Then it's easy to just not give a F, right? Do we just
Right,
why not?
exactly.
Just who
Because
right.
only
So,
because
Exactly.
only
so
God can
Yeah.
right.
judge
So do it even matter what you think or how you feel?
exactly,
Right,
Or is
right?
that
exactly. That's
selfish?
how so many people think. Right.
Is crazy because like so you say like so if we look at you also mentioned earlier about a court that person that's sitting on a bench is judging you against something. They're not judging you based on how they feel about you or how they feel about the situation.
Right. They're
There's a
completely unbiased, just up there doing a job, getting a
correct
paycheck, basically.
based on this compared to this, which one is higher, lower, like where do you fall? And if we got to that level, you
So what y'all
know,
saying is they making judgments based on facts, right? Based on actions that have
agree
occurred.
agreed upon
But isn't that
scenario.
what we do in real
Yeah, we
time
do
in
that
real
in
life?
daily life too. I'll see someone, and this is just a tiny little example. It's, uh, you see a girl out at a club and she's, on a street corner and she's wearing, short shorts and a top, and you're like, she kind of looks like skanky, but you don't know her.
Oh,
I don't know her. She could be the
or
coolest
she
person
might be, or
ever.
she might be lit. She might be, you know what I'm saying? It might be, it might
Okay.
look
Yeah.
pleasant. You know what I'm
But
saying?
I'm prejudging is my point. I'm prejudging based on her outfit and, you know, whatever. But it's just an outfit or it's the way that she carries herself, but I'm prejudging,
Okay.
So are you
you know.
prejudging solely based on her outfit or based on what that outfit has come to mean to you from your local environment, right? Because
Both.
again, you're
Yeah.
basing it off. So if you say we do it as well, like what they do on the bench, we're basing it off of something. And if we live surrounded by animals, right, and we are animals in that environment, and we go other places and we act as such, are we really doing anything wrong or are we just out of place, right? And it's that's why I say, right, if we can get to a place where we can set some standards and ground rules, because tomato might start a war because we're saying it wrong to each other, and it's like kind of really don't matter, right? We just need a standard on, because that guy behind the bench, each state got their own rules, right? So he's basing
Right.
that
Their
off of
own
something.
judicial system.
Right.
Exactly. We just
And
had our
and
Yeah,
elections.
right.
We
yeah,
had our
And what I'm
elections
saying is
for
that we are at war.
all that.
at war.
We're at war with these words.
Yeah,
We are already there. And that's why communication is so horrible in that within, our communities or amongst people in general. So
Right. If we communicated better, if people communicated better, especially like you said in our community, Black people, uh, young people, things would be a lot better. I'm not saying they would be incredible, but if we knew how people feel about certain things and we could make a plan of impact, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of people, there's some other people that think, how we're thinking about the judgment and about certain things in society about Black people or about young African Americans or whatever, But just when you're saying come together, that's what I think of our race. But
yep. So
yeah.
that's one aspect of a judge of where we see judgment being displayed um, in a setting, and is based off of evidence that's supposed to be provided, testimonies, all of these real life things that actually happen. And we have to do that daily on a daily basis. Now, because we just at judgmental first, we got a couple other words. Now, mental. Everything that we do is with this, is mental.
Hmm.
So I ask, like, when we see we have mental health out here, and that also gives us a reason to pass judgment or a reason to be judgmental because
Right.
people have mental health issues. Okay,
Hmm.
people have well, that's like being redundant with the mental disabilities, but we have we have
it's hard.
slang. See, we have slang that's like, are you mental, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like I've heard slang like, are you mental? So it's still using
Oh, I
as a
see. Are
derogatory
you
term,
mental?
right?
Right.
you
Hmm.
know
Instead of
like,
saying crazy, are you mental? Like, is
yeah, like,
something
are you
wrong in your
mental, something
head?
wrong with you?
Yeah.
you know so we see him with both of those two words, in society. Like, nobody wants to say I have a mental disability. Nobody wants to
Right. Or
promote that.
illness.
You don't want to air that. You don't
Right.
want to put that on your shirt. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
mean, with some, I don't know, unless it becomes culture, and then, you know that's how it go. But Normally people don't want to do that. People don't want to walk in a room and say, yeah, I'm on this medication for this and this and this, and I think about this. Like, you don't want to do that, you know. So there is a stigma that comes with that word as well,
There's a huge
whether people
stigma.
acknowledge it on the surface or whether still a subconscious thing that they just robotically don't. We all just robotically doing it, okay, at times, unless we aware of it, unless we actually are, you know, take the time to actually process it before we. And then you have to have some education too, to have some compassion, you know. um so when we put them two together and we see what they are to most people, to everybody in our social space in society, be like, okay, I can understand how it could be demonized, especially when you coming up and how we taught, like point you was making, Ali, like the religious aspect of being judgmental. You know, that's I think that's where a lot of it comes from that particular birthplace in how we apply it and everyone's perception of it. Now, here's where I'm like, if that's what we see and that's all we're going to do, then why doesn't that translate to other things? Okay. And what I mean by that is we have the judgmental, and then people take other words that are already negative, but then they put a positive spin on them and make that okay. That other word, like I use a word like nigga, okay? That word
That's a
definitely
big one.
has origins of negativity, but we have comfortably, myself included, you know, decided that I'm not going to be triggered by the word anymore. Now, there's some selectivism where some people exercise, like, you know, if this person said or that person said, but I'm looking at that's just one example of a word where if I can take judgmental and I can say that every single judgment that I make, I have to use my mental ability to make a good judgment, to make a wise judgment, a positive, a beneficial, you know, then I'm thinking that I'm being judgmental. So that's a case for judgmental being good, but I have to be introduced to that perspective. If I'm only taught one way to think about it, is it safe to say that that's the only way I'm going to apply it because I only been exposed to it from that thought perspective?
I don't know with that one because so the nigga word for me, I would use that as my good example for uh setting a foundation and a standard, right? Taking something that is and collectively making it something different. Good, bad, or indifferent, that kind of don't matter to me. Once the people decide and is known and we move from that point on, I'm okay with it because it takes away the confusion, right? Like the for me the problem in communication is the different dialects, the different slangs, is the confusion. So if soda and pop automatically meant the same thing, we wouldn't be like, what? You see what I'm saying? Like, so,
That's regional. I get that.
you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? And the clash would cause a low level conflict, just for no reason. But like, again, not promoting the positivity or negativity of the word, uh, but the collectiveness is what I do promote, right? Because that's what we need. Because that's what this conversation ultimately is about, right? Not so much that everybody has to agree, but it has to be some kind of uniformity or collective consciousness
Right.
of understanding or acceptance, at least, whether you agree or not, right? The acceptance is that when these people say these words, or when is I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's
People are affected by it though. It's,
yeah,
people are
Or it
affected
affects
by it,
people. Yeah.
and
yeah,
that's why we examining it, because to you and I, we may be comfortable. We know that we are all individuals, and that's what we love about people's individualism and their own uniqueness. It's not about trying to be pleasant. I think our era was about more being unique too, like having your own style, coach.
yeah.
So being following wasn't really like hip. So it's a lot of people, the majority of people, they really do, marry certain words and their meanings to what it is to them, and they don't waver from it. They actually do, and we
Right.
see
No
it.
matter what.
Say that again.
I just said that they yeah, people they get, accustomed to using a word, and whether or a positive view, they just use it, and you know that it becomes a part of them, ingrained in their like personality and their vocabulary day to day. You know, and then there's new words that people start saying, and like you know, uh, Karen, and you know what things like that. You have to be like, what is this? What does that mean? Like,
Right, like a Karen. Yeah, like
yeah,
like
yeah.
like
And what do you do
I only
about
learned
people that
negative
recently, like,
connotation. Yeah.
it's like a white woman or white woman who's like nosy, or that's, trying to basically get a black person in trouble, or,
Yeah.
be in their business, or make trouble, you know, something. I mean, that's just my like
Yeah.
definition.
And it has an effect. It has an effect on some people. Some people don't like to
Oh,
be
it has
called
a
Karens.
huge effect.
Some people,
yeah,
like, I'll be a Karen. I'm you better not. So like
Right.
you get that.
Don't have your dog, don't have your dog pooping on my lawn. Like just little stuff. I know that's silly. So
Yeah. Some anything, right?
yeah,
So we do
anything.
so we do see that, and that's what we discussing, those type of effects, those things, why people are triggered by certain words, like, judgmental, um
I think
like,
it's designed to trigger us though, bro.
yeah.
Right? Yeah, like because I mean, just in that conversation you and Sister Jasmine was having, right? You went from having a Karen to a person talking about, I don't care if I'm a Karen, so what? Like somebody, like what do you do about people that want to be trolls in real life, that walk around, that have natural conversation in sarcasm speak,
Mm,
where you know what I'm saying, where everything is a jab, or is
Yeah, but
is
that's
a
that's difficult too, because it's like I'm sarcastic sometimes, or like cynical or whatever, have a joke about stuff, but you have to, it's almost like you kind of have to know the person. And if you, usually I would say people that are sarcastic, they don't, they don't care. What they're
at
saying is
all.
what they say, and if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, because that's just their personality. Not necessarily in a mean way, but just, if you have that kind of dry sense of humor, it is what it is. And I
Yeah, but
guess,
that's what I'm saying, right? Like, so how do you take those people and mix them into this conversation as far as why do some people get triggered and why do some people don't? When you have some people that not necessarily purposefully go out of their way to hurt people's feelings, but purposefully go out of their way to not hurt somebody's feelings, if that makes sense, right? Like they just want
yeah,
to
I know what
be
you're saying. Like
Consideration.
they're not thinking about the, you know, whatever the comment or whatever the situation is. They're not thinking about the person's feelings after they say what they say, or before they say what they say,
yeah,
For
right?
yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm talking.
Emotion does that. Emotion does that. People have an argument, some things get said, and then after
Yeah,
people calm down, then
they
it's come
regret
back
what
and
they
it's like,
said, or they're
you know,
sorry.
Yeah,
and then it's just like,
That happens.
should have focused on just solving the problem in the
in the
beginning,
first place.
you know. But
Correct.
sometimes you gotta go through things. But definitely the word judgmental is one of those big words that that definitely has had like a real serious effect. Um, and I just think like we just need to repurpose the word. Like that's my hypothesis is like, what if we just repurpose the word? Kind of like we did nigga, you know? Like the only people I don't hear using that word is like old people, like in their 80s, 70s, and stuff like that. They don't be using that word. And I think it's because of what they experienced, their real experiences. Um, Now, some people might say it, when they upset or whatever, but just in casual conversation, how it's not heard, and they may not even be have a vast vocabulary. So, but they still, you know, are exercising some type of discernment not to use that word. So I'm like, okay, if we can do that,
Definitely.
you know,
Yeah,
can we do judgmental? Can we say, wow, every time I had to do something that was beneficial to me, I exercised good judgment.
yeah,
And I did it from my brain. So that was I thought about it before I did it. I put that time and effort into thinking about it before I did it. So, and I made a good judgment. I was happy about my results from what
Then
I
it's decent.
decided,
I mean, pretty
you
decent.
know? So that was being judgmental and it was positive. I got a positive result from it.
Say that again.
I got you. It still hurt when you said it when you said the word though. Like I was following your whole sentence, but then you said the word, and I was like, eh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, it's almost like upcycling, right? So when you make good choices, when you actually think about a plan and you actually act it out and and you get the result, you exercise good judgment, right? You was being that was a very judgmental decision or act, right? Just repurposing it to something from a negative to all positive.
Yeah. I mean, let's go with some more words, bitch. She a bad bitch.
Hold on. Wait a
You
second.
know?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't like that word. I mean, I get it. Like people say that, like
you
it's
know?
okay, like it's cool and stuff, or whatever. Like whatever. Like hey, like it's someone's name. I don't like that. I don't do that with my friends. I don't like that. But I mean, people say it how you
Yeah.
just said it, but I don't agree with it because that's not
Man, tell us
I
why.
don't
Why you don't agree with it, sis? Why you don't agree with it? As a
I mean,
woman.
the word bitch is like, you're putting someone down, like you're thinking of like the lowest of the low, like, someone you don't respect, someone that's, you know, just not not respected. Um I can't even explain it. Just
But ain't
you're
them
spitting on
respecting you if
someone,
you a
call like you're
bad bitch.
spitting on
Ain't them
no,
respecting you
that's
though?
not the same. I
That
don't think
bitch
that's the
bad.
same thing.
Ain't
Is
that
that
the
the same
No.
thing?
that's not?
I hear you, but I don't think that's the same. I mean, for in my opinion, I don't think of it as the same thing because it to me it's just a level of disrespect. Like if my mom, if someone was gonna name me bitch, they would have named me bitch. That's not my name,
Big
and
facts.
you know, it, I just I can't even put it into words. Just to me, it feels like disrespect. Like you're kicking someone, like you're spitting on them, throwing dirt on them. Like it's the utmost disrespect for a woman or
I
a
got a
man to
question.
call a man that. Like I just
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
dudes ain't having it. Dudes ain't having it. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
you
Dudes ain't
you
having
said that you said it wasn't the same thing. So you said being called a bad bitch is different. That's not the same thing as just bitch.
No, I don't think it's different.
So
Errol
so
thinks it
so
is.
so it don't matter. The word bad don't matter. It's the word bitch itself. Period. Is
I mean, obviously in society, rapping, Megan the Stallion and whatnot, they made it cool. Like I'm a bad bitch, but like I don't like the word bitch. Like sure, I'll say it in a song, whatever, whatever. Okay, like the N word, but I don't want people to be like, yeah, she's a bad bitch. Like, I mean, maybe, but hold on,
it.
hold on. I got you.
Maybe, right?
Hold on.
Maybe. You know,
They are calling it a
if it's a
bag.
bag with it, right? It might be, yeah, I understand,
That's confusing.
but
Okay, so hold on. Let me change my stance. I mean, I'm not completely changing it, but it depends on the context and whose mouth it's coming out of and what the situation is, you know.
so it's okay to be a bitch circumstantially. So then, right? So that goes with the title, why people picking and choose. Yeah,
Exactly. That
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
But I mean, I would rather just someone be like, she's bad or she's this or that without the B word behind it. But I'm not like tripping off it if I know the context it means like, good thing. But like don't be saying it like it's my name because it's not.
Mm.
I get that.
So basically, we can sing the song, but just that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And it's funny how none of the music in the back in the day, it was
Right?
jammed
Yeah.
and it didn't call the women bitches at all.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't now. It's like, yeah, like now, since in the last 10 years, that's all they say. Even the women. The women, because there's obviously like 50,000 female rappers nowadays, and they're calling themselves, I'm a bad bitch. Like,
Yeah,
and that,
yeah.
of course, makes it okay for everyone else to say, I'm a bad bitch, or she's a bad bitch, or whatever.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying, right? Like, so if a Megan Thee Stallion type could make it, like you saying, Pearl, right? To
Like, cool, like a cool phrase.
not
Like,
not cool. You know what you say? A purpose. You want to repurpose, right? You want to
Repurpose.
up purpose it.
Yeah. Up purpose.
Whether you like it or not, I think that if you was to protest it or have a personal grudge and go out of your way when you know that like the whole entire world,
oh, that people are using it more like positively. Yeah, you would be like looked at sideways. Yeah, of course, of course.
right?
And I'm not
Yeah.
saying like I completely protest the word and I'm like pitchforks and all that. But like, don't just think you can come at me and be like you're a bitch or bitch
Yeah,
yourself.
no,
Like, no, I'm not
I hear
your
that,
bitch.
and that's what I started thinking about, right? Because when you started talking about circumstantially, I started thinking about, okay, so women can they call each other that all day. A man can never ever in his life call a woman that without a fist fight. Um,
Right, right,
and even referring to a woman as a baddie, um, in reality, you're only referring to that woman in passing, not directly face to face.
right,
So
exactly. Because you don't know like what
to be to
someone's
be to be
real
fair and
true
honest,
thoughts are.
right? Like I don't know no I don't know, maybe you can walk up to somebody and be like, yo, you're a baddie, and she be like, ooh, for real? That might work. I don't know. But she might got VD too. If
Hey,
that
hey,
Wow, oh my gosh.
baddies got
like,
3D out here. Ooh.
yeah, I'm
Oh
scared, bro.
my gosh.
Like, they say they don't, they want all the STDs. I'm
Yeah,
good.
I ain't in the field. No.
I'm not. I'm good.
Yeah.
Terrible.
But definitely,
What is
bitch
that
is one
say?
of
That
those
bitches, I
words.
sure am not that.
Yeah. Bitch is one of those words as well that we see, repurposed, that came from a negative place. Like
Right.
we're not even going into origins of the words and all that. We just
Correct.
talking about how it's just been used, how it's affected us.
For real. Just in our lifetime.
That's it. Just how it has affected us. That's all. And how it continues to affect us, these different selective words. And what you were talking about, Jazz, like most of the time, you said it's how it's presented. But a lot of times,
Right.
bitch is always presented negatively.
Right.
Like it's the few times that you get the bad bitch, or I don't even know what else to add with bitch,
I
like
I
to
think I think even
to
I think
make
Bitch
it
is
even in that is
fine.
comforting.
And it
negative.
would be like some dudes talking to each other
Yeah,
like that
like
bitch is bad or that bitch is fine. Like,
That's negative. That's all negative.
I mean, women talk like that. I mean, there's some women that talk like that, but they would be all together and they would be all okay with saying the word bitch. But like me and my friends, we don't like bitch is not like that casually in our vocabulary like that. Not saying it's like a horrible thing, but I'm just not, I don't say it all like that. That's all, you know.
right. Yeah, definitely. So that's one of them words. Um, and
Like those are
I'm gonna t-
fighting words to me.
and that's
From
and that's
women
from
to
the
women.
masculine, from the male perspective. Like a dude not gonna be called no bitch ass nigga like a whole bunch of times without it
Nah.
being
Right.
addressed. So that's why I look at, like, from a man's perspective, you know, you're not having it, like you're just not gonna be with it for a whole lot. You either get away from it, or you're gonna confront it. And for it to just be, it's another word that we've just been comfortable with, like the N word was getting away from it, or confront it. Now it's just comfortable. Bitch, now it's just
Right.
comfortable.
Oh my
Ho,
goodness.
now
Right.
it's just comfortable. You know, um, and it's just it just intriguing me as I get older, like how we just controlled by it. But do we have control over the words, or do the words have control over us?
Oh,
Both.
that's deep.
You know,
I
Yeah,
think
both.
it's both. Yeah, because we give up control once we accept it, right? Like once we accept the definitions, we give up control, right? As long as we always willing to change them and adapt, then we maintain control and we maintain our God status. But once we say, okay, that means that, so that is that, and that's that, and it can never change, then then the word rules, right? Like that word now has all the power,
Right,
right? But
exactly.
that's
Like the N word, it had all this
that.
power. I mean, it
Hmm.
still does, I feel. But like how you said, in the transition of the times and the music and society, people, it's who would have thought that word out of every word in the English language has morphed into just this cool slang word that black people are calling each other, like after all the years of, pain and suffering and whatnot, and not just because of that word, but everything that that word represents. And now it's just, what up, my nigga? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, you saw the question in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's put it up. Rocky Henderson. What's up?
What's
Said she
up?
says, do you think we black culture are the only group of people that have welcomed these negative attitudes, words so freely? And if so, why do you think so? You
I
want
would
to take
answer
that,
that
Ali?
first. I would say no. I say everybody do it.
Everybody do it, right?
Everybody do it.
Right.
Um, everybody do it. That's it. Like we all humans, and if you just start at from the smallest concept of a community, and that's just being your family, siblings. It just spreads outwards, right? Like everybody talk crap. Everybody, um, like your competition is the person next to you, right? The person that's looking to take your resources is the person next to you. The girl you like, uh, all those dudes also like her, right? So you gotta, snap back. Like everybody do it. It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. Everybody do it. You got wars being fought right now because everybody do it, right? It's just what humans do. Is what we do.
Yeah, definitely. We see this. Um, I've seen word personally from my own personal experiences, in my career. I've seen how, I mean, forget about stereotypes, preconceived stereotypes. Like it's the worst. But definitely, yeah, it's not just us. It's not just black culture. Um,
To keep it a stack, like none of
not at all.
everything that not everything, because there are some things that are strictly for us, but for the most part, like everything is like everybody do everything crazy, right? Everybody got crackheads, everybody got thieves, everybody got their own murderers, everybody got their baby touchers, everybody got they people that eat people, everybody got their own monsters, right? Nobody's exempt. Um, it's it's who controls the media, right, and who is controlled by the media, right? So if you go back to judgmental and you focus on the mental, like that word in itself is tricky because cats don't even know how they think, right? Is the brain and the mind, are they two separate things? Are they the same thing? Do we all share one universal mind, right? Are all my thoughts my own thoughts? It's so many things to consider before you can come to a concrete, definitive, right? Again, like once you define a word and it becomes rock solid, that thing now is, right. So it's hard for me to jump to a thing. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Once you speak on it, I mean, I'm a firm believer that your word is your bond. Like, it ain't too many dudes that keep their word. That I know, or that value it. It is a small handful of people, and I value them because they value their word. But they different. Like that's one of them things that's just being different. Where, like you said, but these things, when we speak them into existence, like you're saying, like, uh, don't be judgmental, you know, or that right there is the lesson. That's what you learn from. So when it's communicated to you like that, and you have no other form of how to apply it, then I really can't expect people to think any opposite way unless they desire to, unless they're exposed to it. And if they're getting it from the same sources, you're just gonna get the same thing over and over again. It's just gonna keep on getting ingrained and keep it on getting ingrained. And it's after a while you program. We all are, and because we had things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but definitely it is something that I've seen amongst all coaches, but I see that there are some differences within some different cultures, because we see the results are different. you know um, and I don't know if it's because of the religious aspect of it, of how it's taught, or if it's the I guess the dialect aspect of how it's taught, because we know in other countries, uh, I believe you mentioned earlier, Ali, like it's certain things that mean certain things here that don't mean the same thing there. And the way they cigar Bacchus, who not with us
Mm-hmm.
this evening, um, he was explaining to me one time, because he was studying Portuguese, and he was explaining how the context of words in the Portuguese language in comparison to English is like totally different. And you could say something, you could be trying to say something that you think is the English way to say it, but it's
Saying something completely different.
yeah, it's completely different. The translation will be completely different.
Wow.
It's like that in Spanish for some things too. But it's interesting. It's interesting how these words, how we pick and choose the words that we comfortable with, and the words that we allow to trigger us, because I think that's what happens ultimately. Why we get why it's always perceived negative, because there's a trigger. And I think we don't study the trigger enough. Like, why am I triggered by that word? Why is that word offensive?
Or
you
if a
know
certain person says it to you.
well, I mean, if it's a word, it don't matter who say it to you, it should be
Oh yeah,
offensive.
that is true. Yeah.
you know and that's where I'm talking about, we picking and choosing. Because if my homeboy could say what's up, my nigga, and I don't have no problem with it, then why should I be triggered if a white person is trying to, or another person of another ethnicity, let's not just say the white person, another person of another ethnicity is saying, uh hey, you nigga, trying to use it derogatory to get me to react.
Oh, okay,
you
right.
know
Yeah, because
See,
if you
like,
if you get pissed off, that's almost like you're giving it power.
I,
Right.
I gave him control.
You gave them control. Yeah. But that's what you get pissed off because you wanted to get pissed off, right? That's the thing, right? Like, because you can just ignore that,
Yeah, I mean, you
right?
can get
Because
pissed off, but I'm just saying to do something extreme or to like come back. I mean, you're gonna have whatever emotion you have, but it doesn't mean to like go overboard or, you know, fight them because of it. But I mean, it's in whoever's decision what they do with that situation, you know.
And it leads to that at times.
yeah,
It leads to deaths. you know,
Right, exactly. It leads to death. They
to
say.
no coming back to some type of, understanding.
Yeah, death in prison, right? And what is the right, like, so what is the right choice? Do you walk away? Do you fight, right? And I think it's different for
Right.
everybody, and every situation is different, right? Because today might just be a good day for me to hang it all up. You right? So I can give everybody the business today because today's a good day for me, and it might be a terrible decision to make for somebody else,
Right.
Hmm.
right? Some people got more to lose than others, right? Some people live for everybody to be like, hey, did you see what he did? Did you see what she did?
Right, for gossip. Yeah.
Yeah, they want to be part of. They want to be the story. They want to be the urban legend, so to speak, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, cloud is at an all-time high.
Clout. There you go, clout.
Yeah. I don't even know how to chase it. I have been called a troll, I
Oh,
just
that word. That
yeah,
word. Yeah.
but I didn't even know
It's
what
like
a
the new
troll
word for
was. So
stalking almost. Not stalking, but like you're trolling. That, yeah, I don't like that word.
yeah, I figured
Bad
when you
gossip.
watch something that has a subject matter, then you should
Right.
watch it and comment on it and
Right.
be
You're just
involved. Like
silent and you're
I'm
just
not just wasting
observing.
my
You're a total
time.
troll.
Yeah, I'm not a looking ass nigga. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you're only a troll if you're talking about stuff anti the topic or against the topic
Yeah,
or
that's
just
what I
something
thought.
just something completely different. I think if you're talking about the topic, whether you agree or disagree, I think that's participation.
That's what I thought too. I thought liking,
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
subscribing, you should even sharing, you know what I'm saying? Leaving a comment. I thought it the algorithm and all that good stuff, but
Right?
I think people so stuck on, you ain't donating to the cash app or none of that. You know what I'm saying? We just not on that. So, you know, we could link up and we could, I can give you some game on something real to help your family. You have generational wealth. Like not donating a dollar. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it's no
The
like nah, like, you know. But I understand it. I don't knock it, whatever
Yeah, of
people
course. I
it's a
mean,
it's a positive thing. There ain't nobody robbing you. They are asking for it,
Correct.
So, we don't
So, oh, that's interesting. You say ain't nobody robbing you, right? They
Mhm.
are asking you for it.
Yeah.
They do ask you for it. People do give it up, and then people
people
turn
ask
around and use
people.
the word "I got scammed"
Oh,
or somebody
scammed. Yeah,
taking
that's
it.
a good one.
All right, like that's like I don't know what kind of part of communication that is, where you can allow yourself to be lied to or to hear only the part that you want to hear and refuse to read the fine print and then
Not very bright. Not
Hear
very
only the parts selective hearing, that's a whole nother show. We got to do that one.
right.
Selective hearing.
like,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's serious too. People do have that selective hearing thing, you know. And I think it's emotionally charged but from picking and choosing words. I think that plays into that selective hearing because
Yeah.
because when they hear certain words, they trigger. So
Right. And they
after
don't want
they
to
hear
hear
them
those
certain
words, so they
words, they
just
cut
block them out.
everything.
Block
Yeah,
it
they
out.
they cut everything else off, and it's just those words that they just stuck on. Like can't get past that part, you know. So I think that all coincides with the picking and choosing of the words. And
Would that be a mental illness? Would that be subject to be considered a mental illness? Somebody that can't get past the word that gets easily triggered, or right? Like, how would you even? Like I'm not a psychologist, not like that.
Yeah, I'm not qualified
Yeah,
to
me
say it's
either.
mental illness,
I
But
like,
but
but
I
Wednesday,
will say it is learned behavior. I do know that it's learned behavior. It's taught behavior for sure. Yeah, I know that for sure because I've been triggered by words. I allowed my
yeah. Oh,
and
I
the only
know.
reason
Yeah,
why
100%,
definitely. I'm
yeah,
guilty of
I
it.
was triggered by
100%.
words is because of the environment that I was taught in. That's how I'm supposed to respond or react to these words when I hear these words from certain people. You know, I was taught that until I actually started thinking for myself, like, and examining
Correct.
those things. Like, all that ain't good. It's some good in that, but all of that ain't good, because you have to look at the results uh, that you get from that, from thinking like that, what you apply. How beneficial is it to you? Or, how productive is it to you? Um, what type of situations do you allow yourself to be in, by not having that type of uh, self control or that type of knowledge to be able to say, okay, am I really upset about this, or is it what the person said? Or is it about the words? Is it about the words? Am I upset about how it was said? Am I upset about the words that were used? And a lot of times those things just distractions because I never took the time to focus on what was being said. So I'm thinking about every other thing except for what was being said,
Right.
and then those cause you to react, but I'm saying for me, only from my perspective, my perspective, for me, that is not focusing on what, the whole why, you know, it's not focusing on the whole why. It's focusing on the what, the how. I'm yeah, it's evading. It's allowing myself to be stuck at one place and not process all the information. And that's why I know, like, some people have to take time out when you're communicating. Some people have to say, like, I just need a few minutes to process the information. That's all. I think that's always fair whenever you're trying to resolve something with somebody and emotions high. Sometimes things have to be resolved on spot, so you gotta suck it up and get it together. But if it's anything that isn't emergent, like right then and there, if I had a conversation about being judgmental, we had a conversation about being judgmental, you know, like, you can always come back to that, because what happened after that? Did we exercise good judgment? Then I think we both were being judgmental, or we all were the collective was being judgmental,
Hmm.
you know, because we needed to actually exercise some good judgment to resolve whatever issues, or, and I ain't never heard of uh accomplishing goals or being successful, or getting that, getting the result you wanted, however you can put it, um without exercising good judgment.
Right. Exactly.
And the whole time it was with my brain, like, that it was I was exercising my mental, not to get in that car or to tell my homeboy, like, man, I'm in the military, Holmes. Don't get in my car with nothing in your pockets. Cause I'm telling, plain and simple. I got people depending on me, family. I ain't so if you ain't gonna keep it on you, don't ride with me. Plain and simple. You know, that's exercising good judgment. I gotta be to work in the morning. But
So how do we do that when so okay, so I guess the first question is because you earlier you mentioned, you talked about other cultures around the country, around the world. I would go as far as to say in this country, the only culture that we do have is the one American culture, right? We don't have a quote unquote Black American culture, or we have one culture that is a slave minded capitalist society culture. Cause I'm listening to your story just now about, hey, cuz make sure you ain't got nothing in your pockets before you get in my car. That's you exercising good judgment. In my mind, nobody would want to get in your car with something in their pockets in the first place, because we see where this thing is going. Like, this train is moving in the right direction. If we had a culture of promoting each other and moving each other upwards, and not necessarily holding each other down or tearing away, but just literally lifting up, yeah, like, you wouldn't even have to say, make sure there's nothing in your pockets before you get in my car,
right,
right?
I
Because
get what you're saying,
right, because
but everyone doesn't think that way,
that's what I'm saying, right? Because
you know.
I get it, right? Whenever I say
I mean,
that we don't,
obviously.
whenever I say that we don't have a culture, I catch a lot of slack, right? And I understand, but I'm willing to almost debate anybody, right? We do a lot of cultural things. We have a lot of cultural aspects, but we don't necessarily have things that we agree on, that we are gonna hold firm to and hold each other accountable to to make us better as a people, so to speak, right? What we do, we pay taxes, we vote, um, we go to school, we get good jobs, we pay our rent, we do all the American things that we were taught to do,
Hmm.
all those judgmental things, all those things that we compete, compare, and contrast, and you know, keeping up with the Joneses, all the negative things, and a lot of the positive things, right? We got right here, right? All those learned behaviors, we have to unlearn them, or even we have to agree that we need to unlearn them and learn something new, really, right? I think that might be like the
Hmm.
first step, that we would have to agree that we need to even learn something new before we can change the way that we even look at,
yeah,
because nigga was agreed upon for the most part. Like, that was like, yo, we gonna turn this into a positive. And young cats started arguing with old people, talking about, no, Mr. So and so, we don't use it. It don't mean that no more. It mean this. And everybody held on to that story, and held on to that line. True or not true, it became real enough.
Right.
yeah. It's definitely real.
Yes. Yes. Everywhere you look.
Definitely real.
My nigga.
It's like, man, you know.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're right. Like people from those are all like American things. Like all those things that you were talking about are key to like American life in our country. And people are fighting, people are dying literally to get to our country. And it's like, is it really that great? Are things really that copacetic here? I
You just
mean,
you
I
just
feel
never
like
been. Have you ever been over there?
no.
Real
I
talk.
mean,
Is that
that was my sarcasm. That was like, like I know obviously you want to be in America, of course. But what I'm saying is like we're not perfect. Our country has some things, but generally speaking, with like basic needs and all that, yeah, we're the place to be. Like we have, I mean, we could have free, just
Healthcare.
basic things, WIC and
Yeah.
welfare, and I hate to say
Correct.
those type of things, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I've been,
I've been,
and
and
it ain't no place like home. So it's just not, like I honestly rather deal with what we got going on here than to be over there in them situations, you know,
right.
because
Yeah, like a third
circumstances are
world
different.
country or Mexico or something. Yeah.
Well, you just don't know. It's different. It's totally
yeah,
different.
we really do have freedoms here that we just we that are so taken for granted, right? And that just our internet ability to search the internet is so much more unrestricted than so many other countries,
Wow.
right? Little things like just searching the internet, things you just can't even look up.
Well, and I know, I think in Iraq or one of those Middle Eastern countries that women just started to drive, or they just got the privilege or the right to drive in one of those Middle Eastern countries, like in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's all cultural stuff, though, right? I don't know how much.
Yeah, but I know it's a part of their law too. I mean, because it's
Yeah,
all connected.
yeah. That's what I was about to say. I
They
don't
make
know
their
how much of
laws
it's
based on their
religion.
cultural beliefs, and their ideology of, you know, whatever.
Yeah, because all of them are not Muslim, right? So you got a bunch of Arab Christians and
Right, right. That's
Jewish,
true.
but I think they all have the same thought process as far as a lot of those things, though, right? So I don't know what's religious or what is regional. You see what I'm
Oh
saying? Like
yeah,
it's
based on their culture, which country you're talking about. Yeah, the different countries. Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, it's weird. Like that's what I'm saying, right? So for us here in America to say that it's not fair that those women over there can't drive, for me, I'm like, man, I got my own problems over here. Uh,
Oh my
you
God.
know, you
No, of
know,
Real.
course, which yeah, I mean, me too, of course. But I'm just saying, like, within the past 5 years, they just now have the right to drive a car.
yeah.
That's people here, kids 16, 15 years old can drive a car, let
But like
alone
you
a
also got to
grown
remember, like
woman.
stoning is like still legit in those places too. Like
Is it?
So, and some of those things I think we need over here.
like you can still get stoned. You know what
Oh my
So
gosh.
I'm just saying,
I'm saying?
I'm different, sis. You know what I'm saying? Like
I know. I
I like preventative measures, you know?
Facts, right? You
So
know, we talk tough in this country, but a lot of I think we're too lax on a lot of things, right? And I think we're lax because of the confusion in our communication because somebody could easily say, "Oh, I didn't mean it like that,"
right,
mhm.
exactly. And they could just get away with it. And it's
and you can just get away with it. Oh, I didn't mean it like that, and you're just
oh,
supposed to just
okay.
let it go, and your feelings are just supposed to not be hurt anymore.
Right,
And
exactly. Just brush it under the rug like it's no big deal.
that's not fair, right? Because that's not real. I'm still a human being, and I still was affected, whether you meant it like that or not. I still need some time to breathe, right? I still need to be allowed to exhale.
Hmm.
Right. Right. We got a comment from EL Henderson. What's up, bro? Judging has a lot to do with cultural, political, and economic goals of a group. If African Americans composed a communal goal, we would view judging in a different light.
Hmm.
Yeah, we don't agree on one thing, and that's a
You're silly.
problem.
That would
not one
be
thing.
Not
that
one
would be epic
thing,
though. That I understand what you're saying. If there was one thing or,
just
you
one.
know, a common goal of African Americans, then things, you know, judging would completely be seen in a different light because we would all have, you know, a common
We have a
ground of
standard.
what we mean.
A standard.
Yeah, a standard of what judging is.
Right? And that's what I'm saying, right? And because we speak, different, slangs and accents and understanding things differently. I think what did they say over on a continent? I think like Kiswahili is like the universal language over there that everybody speaks. It's like the trade language or something like that.
Where is that?
Like on the continent of Africa, they say that I want to say like Swahili is one of like the trade languages that the predominantly like everybody on the continent speaks. Like you have
Oh,
your
it's
own
almost
languages.
like I don't want to say like English, but it's a predominant language.
Yeah, not necessarily predominant, but it's
Oh,
yeah, right. With that though, like it doesn't matter where you from or what your understanding of words are. When you leave your home and you go into foreign surroundings, it is irresponsible for you to maintain your local vernacular, right? That's not right because
oh, I
don't
see what you're
nobody
saying.
understand that but you. So if we practice consideration and allow for the fact that all right at home I can speak mad fast, I can talk with a super slur, I can use curse words all day long, but when I step outside the door, there's an understanding that all that might offend everybody else, right? Um, on purpose or not on purpose, right? They just gonna be offended. So I gotta change that. If I don't want to change that, the reality is I'm gonna offend a lot of people, and a whole bunch of people are gonna want to defend themselves against me, and they may do that violently, right? Because I can't control how somebody feels about what I say or do to them, right?
Right.
We can say, "Oh, you went too far" after the fact, but everybody got the right to feel how they want to feel. That's why I say we need like we don't agree on not one.
So you say the ability, my ability, one's ability to communicate, um, it does hold them accountable. The world does hold you do the world does hold you accountable for your ineffective ability to communicate. Um, I've seen it on police videos,
That's
right?
true.
It seems like some simple things, if the person could just articulate what they're feeling, what they're going through, then it may not even escalate to the level. And that's not all cases.
Oh, that things escalate, right?
Yeah,
If they
sometimes.
communicated and they
Yeah,
were like
sometimes.
calm,
No, I'm no, no.
On both sides, right? On
Yeah, we
both
talking about
calm,
sides.
both
calm,
sides. We talking about everybody that's what we talking about, everybody being able to communicate effectively, you
both
know?
parties,
Yeah, it
Yeah,
takes two. It's not effective communication if it's not received,
it's just
right?
noise.
Definitely.
So you can't do it alone. We can talk to ourselves all day long. I can go in the corner and talk to God as long as I need to,
Hmm.
you know. But when I'm dealing with other people, we have things that we're trying to get accomplished, and we have things that we need to do. So we have to communicate, or else it's not going to be. Don't expect anything. You're not going to have any progress or get anything done. That's why some businesses just don't succeed. relationships don't succeed. It's the same. They all the same. They relationships, all of them, no matter what
Yeah.
type. It's communication.
The business was perfect, right? Because they have business rules that they establish for every echelon of the company. Um, the administrators operate on a certain level that everybody got their SOPs,
Hmm.
and you have to follow the standards, right? It doesn't matter how you feel, it doesn't matter what your religion is, it doesn't matter if your sexual orientation, it
No,
doesn't matter if you think the sky is green, red, or purple. None of that stuff matters when you come into this office space to do this job, right?
Right.
Somebody else has assigned a communal goal for you. Well, I guess you accepted it, right? Because you took the job.
that part.
Right, like the handbook or something. Yeah, that you have
Yeah,
to like rules you have to abide by.
yeah,
Yeah.
the handbook. There you go, the handbook.
Hmm.
The handbook. Yeah, right. So when you took the job, when you applied for that job and accepted that job, you accepted that handbook. You accepted that you're not going to use the word nigga. You're not going to use the word bitch, or you're not going to use anything that might put this company at risk.
Yeah.
Oh, put your check at risk. Keep it a buck.
Right.
Keep it well, yeah,
Meal
Keep
but
your
ticket.
check at risk. That's what the picking and choosing is then.
yeah,
That's what the discipline is then. The compassion is then. And I'm saying, like, why is do we only have the compassion for the paycheck, not in real life, not in other circumstances? Because a lot of times it doesn't translate. I could be in the workplace and I make exceptions because I need this, and I'm not triggered by certain things. I know how to handle that when I'm if I am. But then because I'm out here, because I'm away from it, now it's not the
You
same
let
thing.
it
I don't use
slip.
the same discernment. I don't use the same self-control. I don't use the same patience. I don't exercise the same, mental ability, judgment. I don't exercise the same judgment. So we see that, and that's what we was talking about, like
Oh
the
yeah, definitely
effects.
every day. Yeah, every
The
you got to
effects.
watch what you do at work and then what you do outside of work because in my field of work, I work in education. They're they're always watching. You have to be aware of, you're not just a role model at the job. You're a role model away from the job. And what you do away from the job affects, you know, everything, your whole job. You just want to have a good, positive face, image, because you're representing not only yourself, but the company that you work for.
I know all too well about that.
it's funny about that 'cause that's like when you get that's like your driver's license, right? Like remember all those old school Moors used to talk about they can drive without a driver's license and talk all that crap. But
Right.
like you
Not any,
really
not today. I don't know how easy that is
nah, you don't.
today.
But like Cass used to think they used to be able to tell cops, nah, you can't do this, you can't do that. But like you literally agree to the rules, right? You agree to get pulled over, you agree to abide by the law enforcement's orders, like you agree to all that. So as soon as you don't do that right away, like you're in violation, right? And it's like,
Immediately. Immediately.
you agree not to give any problems. You get pulled over, you pull over.
Right,
License
exactly. You
registration.
don't go on a high speed
It's simple.
chase
Just have
in
your
the
paperwork.
channel 7.
That's what you do.
Just have
Like
your paperwork together. That's it.
license
Right.
registration. Get
Yeah.
out of my face, right? I don't need no conversation. Just ticket, no ticket. Whatever
I
you're gonna do.
I know I don't have warrants. I
I
know
know how.
I know
Right,
my
exactly.
registration is together. You know what I'm saying? I'm not confused about you just
Nothing.
doing your job. You might be bored, poaching. I
Right.
have police officer friends, so like they get bored at work too, you know.
They
So
get bored at work too, right?
yeah,
And
so I understand that, like, but once again, am I triggered because of because of how the police, like I had an encounter where officer was just cracking jokes, but I had to understand that he was just cracking jokes, that it wasn't personal. He saw something on my car and he made a joke. The joke was lame, but I was already in the wrong. So, I ain't want to laugh too much.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't want to laugh too much. And I ain't want to, I wanted to just keep it cool. It's like, what do you
that's funny.
because now you want some, like now you're not even now you cracking jokes. You pull me over, but now I think you just being nosy, like you poaching, like you bored. You're not really, because I ain't do anything. I already know I didn't do anything.
Yo, you saw Eric and Henderson's comment, like
Uh,
to
I don't know
me,
what they got something going on in the chat. Let's see what we got right here.
he talking about the music culture, right?
Oh, Scotty on. Okay, let's hold up. Let's see this right here. Boom. Let's go this right here. Okay,
Let me
Scotty
see.
said. Scotty Jingles. What's up, Scotty? Big dog. How do our music affect the culture?
How
And
doesn't
uh
it?
and then we got E in the chat. I think he said I think the music and our culture promotes only the demonization of our
Not
youth, but
demonization.
also
Hold up.
instills and amplifies the ideal of individualism, which in opinion is far worse. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I
I
mean,
think I think the music do what it's supposed to do,
yeah,
right? This is again, it fits in with the American culture, right? And so far, I haven't seen anything different. Um, they make money off us, right? If
Right.
you and if
The
folks are willing
consumers.
to, yeah,
Or do you mean
folks,
black culture? Or what do you mean?
yeah, like they making money off of our culture, making money off our consumerism, making money
I love that.
off our ability to be manipulated, right, and puppeted,
Especially young people.
right.
I mean,
So you say especially young people, but it's like is a healthy mix between the older folks and the young folks because you got a lot of the older folks that like think about that Alabama dude that tossed his hat and
oh,
the symbolic significance of what that meant for those people, real or not real, right?
what happened? What happened, guy? I don't know. I don't know what
I'm
happened.
not
oh
sure. I'm
yeah.
not
No,
sure.
I'm with you because it was like the kids they called it a bat signal because it was symbolic of he
A
was like
bat
he tossed
signal.
his hat up and it was like signaling like I need help. Something's going on. I need some help over here. I'm
Correct.
getting attacked. So,
Correct. Right.
yeah, yeah,
And
I know what you're saying. The
for
Montgomery, Alabama, the dock
the
situation with
what's
the
called the
guy was
Alabama brawl or something
attacked.
like that. They had like
Oh,
Aquaman and
bro. Okay.
uh you got so many old people that been put up with. I don't want to say old people. So many distinguished elders that have lived through horrific traumatic histories
Yeah.
and pass those traumas down to their children, um, mostly negatively, right?
Hmm.
Through perpetuating bad behaviors and fears and things like that. And we have a youth that is so energized and so not given a no fucks given, right? Like it's
Oh my
just
God. Yeah, that phrase, that's crazy.
Yeah,
right,
nigga just don't care.
like just again, if words matter and the intent behind these things matter, like the idea of no fucks given is kind of insane because it's like that means you have no allies. That
Right? You
means
don't care
everybody can
about
get it.
anything. It just is what it
Right. But
is.
they're really triggered by words though. Because all of the stuff is you said this or you said that or you saying this or you saying that. Like it's a difference when lives have been taken, okay,
Yeah,
in the street, that's different. But
Hmm.
if somebody just drop a song about you and diss you, like, so what?
Right. I mean, it's a
You know,
song.
yeah, get back
Yeah.
on the track, get back at them.
Right. That's
Like
like
now we gotta
part of the
they gotta get
game.
murdered. So that's just words being taken. I mean, wow. And I remember
Yeah.
growing up, like sticks and stones break bones, man. Words ain't doing nothing.
for real.
You can
Right? Like
stand.
the only words that matter are the words that have physical action coming towards me. Right? Those words matter. But if you just talking and you over there, like if your knees don't come past your toes while you saying those crazy things, I don't know if I care about what you saying. Right? Like you're not a threat. I'm not in danger. I
Absolutely.
don't I don't have to respond or react. Right? Because
Right.
you over there just talking.
Not giving no value at all.
Yeah. Because if you give something attention and you're giving it power to grow and to live and, to reap, hurt inside you. But if you just ignore it and, it's over there, being negative, but it doesn't really impact you, you just go on about your life.
Yeah, the youth is definitely different when they definitely get out what they say, get out their body
Hmm.
when they hear something that's words that definitely charged by the words.
I think that's
Hmm.
because they looking to pop off though. Like they're already looking for a reason, right? It's kind of
Right. A
like
reason to pop off. Yeah. A reason.
like it's
Yeah.
kind of like I took issue with the Kings of Comedy, Cedric the Entertainer, when he made that joke about I wish a motherfucker would, like that whole like black folks walk around, they walk into a movie theater talking about I wish a motherfucker would sit in my seat. And I'm saying to myself, like, that ain't true, right? Like nobody goes somewhere wishing that somebody is sitting in their seat so they can cause a conflict,
Or
uh
anything. Like,
or anything, right? Like, but he put that in our minds and in a lot of people's hearts, and people started saying it as if they've always been doing it, and it became cultural,
I didn't
as if
know
it
that's
was.
where that came from because I remember when people started saying that, but I didn't know where it came from. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
I've hated that from that very moment, because it was a problem, and it was just funny that people something that somebody said, but fast forward, rewind back, Kings of Comedy, fast forward to now, you got drill music, and
ugh,
they literally dropping bodies, right? Um, over I wish somebody would say something about me. Pull up, send the addy.
Yeah, over
right.
some words.
All those words in the Addy. Yeah. I mean, it's not funny, but like, the language that the kids speak today. Yeah, that's all that.
Um, yeah, Henderson said words hit different when you in survival mode. That's kind of that's interesting right there. That all these youngins, all these jits is in survival mode. You know,
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
It's
right. Like,
sad.
what does that mean?
It's like
Survival mode.
you should be
that's
living
kind
your
of
life, not worried about like what's, looking over your shoulder, like about what's gonna happen to you or
is that an influence of the music though? Is that because
probably. It's
is that
partly.
that demonization? Where it's like, hey, I'm living for today. I don't care. I think a lot of them drugs got to do with it too.
So
Hmm.
is music and TV the same thing, or are they two separate things?
I mean,
Two,
Hollywood always
I
been
would say two
Hollywood.
separate things.
So they two separate things. Then then I would say yes, that music is doing that. But so like how many different they got a like I think they on their seventh spinoff of Power or something like that. Like they got all these
You said
Yeah.
there's
they got they
7.
like yo bro, I
Right.
ain't make it I couldn't make it past like the fourth episode. Like that snowfall joint, right? Everybody was going crazy over over Hollywood making money off of our
Right.
trauma.
Oh, off of like the quote unquote black culture.
All right, like I lived through the crack era, and it was absolutely nothing vainglorious about that, right? I
Right.
promise you, I sat there looking at Snowfall, and I'm getting mad. I'm like, yo, like none of them crackheads look like that, right?
How they look on there? How they
Terrible.
look on there? I haven't
He
seen
said
it. How
none
they
of
they
them look
they
like
were
that.
they wasn't ashy enough. They wasn't dirty enough. They
Say,
wasn't
Ashy Larry.
they wasn't fiending enough, right? Like like crackheads was taking advantage of kids back in the day for a fix,
Man, what? Talk about it.
right? So to see a show on TV literally telling you like, yo, CIA got with this black dude and he went over, boom, 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 made the connect, bought the work over here, and he doing this, and this how we got cracked. And everybody like, yeah, 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 that's my nigga. That's my I'm like, man, y'all should go die slow, right? Like crack was not cool, man.
No,
Not
right.
at
That's what
all,
I'm
right?
saying. Like,
Like that whole time period, like it wasn't even cool to watch on TV, right? I couldn't understand why anybody. I'm like, it's almost like it wasn't real.
right. Almost like they're
It's
making fun of it. Like, this
Nah,
happened and we're gonna make
somebody
a
making a
show
whole
about
lot of
it.
money off of it. That's for sure. Uh,
yeah,
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 that
somebody
that
making
part
a whole
definitely.
lot of money off of it. That's for sure. But it definitely is helping to shape narratives and continue to, if there isn't any opposite to that, if we aren't going to have, um we got power, if we aren't going to have freedom, you know, and
yo, but
that's
freedom is
and there,
hard. How you
and
make freedom sexy though?
mean, hey, make it a superhero, a black superhero female. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying?
I like that.
Hey,
They
you know
had
what
a
I'm
black
saying?
superhero got canceled though.
A lady though.
Oh, a lady, that would be good. I don't think there's
Yeah,
been a black woman.
but we talking, but seriously though, because the effects of um content that continues to like glorify things that were negative,
Right,
you
drugs and
know.
stuff.
Yeah, like any type of content like that is just not beneficial because it just creates ideas, and drugs haven't gone anywhere. They still here and they different now. So, you know,
Correct.
Right.
but the streets
Or
are still the
or if you
street.
do something like that, they shouldn't be allowed to have soundtracks,
No soundtrack for it.
right? Like it should be like a straight, let old boy tell his story. Like he don't need no theme music. He don't give me nothing to bop my head to. Don't make me forget that this is traumatic. Like don't give me something to listen to in the gym,
That's hard.
right? That's why I asked if the music and TV are two separate things because for me, like I liken it all to entertainment as one thing, you know, a way to brainwash us and mind control all of us, right? Because that's how you set the standard, right? You got to make us all agree, right?
Wow. And what do we agree on?
So on the tomfoolery.
What do we agree on? Because I'm still trying to figure that out. Because I'm like, we don't agree on one thing.
We agree on booty hole browns and
Oh,
uh,
way too much.
Nah.
and
Don't even get me
You
started
know,
on that
STDs
crap.
and and
You know, and those are things that's just like them words, you know, like damn, like wasn't a booty hole sacred before? Like,
wasn't it?
you know,
I mean,
wasn't my
right? Wasn't I
wasn't
mean,
the you know, so
Like everything that was sacred is no longer.
right? It's like now you can just say whatever and ugh.
yeah, just
Mm-mm.
you know, do it. Get the bag. Don't matter. Just get the
Right,
bag.
right.
You know, it's for real. Like you know, I
Just
just
get
would
the
like some
bag.
balance.
Just get the bag, bro. Like that's the whole thing, right?
You know, yeah, like look. You know, but all that stuff was sacred. Like it wasn't just supposed to be just, you know,
Oh, willy nilly talked about
yeah, like dang, you know, just write the first two words out the song. Like,
it.
Right,
Right?
just
Like
out the gate
man,
with
come
it.
on. Like, give us something to imagine, you know, like I respect, you know, lyricism, but that's not lyricism, you
No,
know.
not at
you know
all.
what?
It's
They could
just
fix it though. I think if you know, because I'm anti censorship. However,
Yeah, I don't want her to be sensitive, but be
it do
lyrical.
need some regulations, right? Like I'm I'm anti Megan Thee Stallion type music being played in the mall, right? I
right, like where
think
there's families.
yeah, like I think that is crazy that you can walk into a mall, into any sneaker spot or to a lids and they I never even heard Megan Thee Stallion music except for when I go to the mall. And then when I go, I'm seeing all these little girls and all these little kids singing all. I'm like, this is bananas to me. Like this is, uh, you know, grown and sexy music. This is, it's very appropriate for it's fire music, but it's not, a 12-year-old singing a song is kind of like, yo, man,
Yeah, that's crazy.
If you can discern the difference, that it's just music to and you know what? And I saw something that the other day. It was a homecoming performance. And I was like, it's amazing how the kids at college who are pursuing, you know, whatever they trying to pursue their goals in college and
Hmm.
at university, how the majority of them, I ain't gonna say it ain't some people that go to college that's still trying to, you know, be a thug. And it's like, bro, you in college. Stop it. Um, you know, don't waste your parents' money, or your time.
Hmm.
But they know how to be like, we just enjoying the party and we just turning up with the music. They not trying to go live it. And then there's a different dynamic
Right.
where um where the the youth is like trying to live it, you know, where it's like it's a difference. It's no more where it just is art. It's no more where it's just art. It's it's like I gotta live it. It gotta be real. It gotta be the realest thing ever. But for some reason, like nobody gets the message that like you gonna get indicted if it's that real,
yeah,
Right.
you know.
yeah, we want a real WWE, right?
Mm.
And yo, I was watching a battle rap cipher earlier today, and I was like, man, I love our people, I love our culture. Um, our, that we could really make our culture if we really wanted to, bro. Um, we have the ability to tell stories. We have the ability to entertain. We have such creative minds. We can rap about anything. If they just put things in genres, I think it'll solve everything. right? Put things, put our music in this category where it belongs and keep it over there. And I don't know, man. I think things that are for public consumption shouldn't be religious based, sex based, none of that stuff. I think it should just be all instrumentals down there.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
Wow. Oh
Right?
my goodness.
man.
Like because it's too
Strange.
confusing, and we got too many monsters out there that want to do bad things, right? And that want to inspire somebody to do bad things. So
When you say monsters, right? So
mhm.
You mean the
it
artists that make the music?
So the artists are making music so they can get paid, right?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily know if I would think that person is a monster per se. Um, I think it's wrong. So Pearl said the word indicted. I think it's wrong that a record label or company could put out somebody's music where they say they did all these criminal activities, and that person get to go, that artist get to go to jail, but
knowing
nobody
knowing they gonna get it, right?
knowing they gonna get indicted, but nobody else go to jail, right? Like we can make money off of this. We can promote this. We
Oh, I
can
see what you're
we
saying.
can we
Yeah,
can
their whole
assist
team is
them
just sitting at home.
because we like accomplices. We accomplice in everything, right? We put them in cars. We put gas. We gave them gas money. We gave them gun money.
We
We
Yes,
gave
gave
the
them
gun
we
video
gave
money,
them,
shoots,
we gave
all
them
that.
ammo money. We
more
gave
money,
them
all
we gave
that
them more money on top of more money,
money for
right?
bows, money for Zans, and
But they don't go to jail. They don't go to court. Like nothing happens. It's like
Right.
they can just keep putting out BS and then say, "Well, I didn't tell them to do it. It's just music."
Right. That is so crazy how that happens, right?
That's not right. Like that's not right, right? So I don't necessarily blame the artist because it, in America you're supposed to get paid. You're supposed to get your money. You're supposed to come up, right?
Right.
If there's an opportunity in front of you that's not illegal or immoral, you're supposed to take advantage of it.
Yes.
And morality is changing day by day, right? Like, um,
right, what's considered social norms versus what's
What
old
isn't?
school
Yeah.
thinking or traditional, it's so many, and that's where it still go back to the title, like these words, like people say this traditional thing or this new thing, or it's so many different variances that it's just like, does it all even matter? Or
Right.
but is there some type of general uh consensus, or like amongst the community? Can we have like some sort of common ground amongst the community where we say this is a standard, and we don't have that because there's so many different things. Everybody do this, everybody do, you do your thing, I'm gonna do my thing, you know, and we don't even really care if we do a thing together, like it's such a competitive nature.
yeah, because you go back to that only God can judge me statement,
Hmm.
right? So I
Mm-mm.
do my thing, you do your thing. We can agree to disagree, and
Yeah.
that's what we wind up doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, and nothing ever gets done, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I wish it was a little
Um.
bit more balance within the music. Like we had selections. We had Tribe Called Quest. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah.
like,
Man,
come on, the Tribe.
and
Nobody
now
never
some
wanted
those
to be the Tribe again. Like
Tribe Called Quest,
nobody.
right? You're
Nah,
so
we got
None of these
what's their
45-year-old
name?
cats got sons that they played Tribe for. Everybody was playing them. The gangster
Nah,
stuff.
like
Like,
NWA.
Razcast kids out there, Coast Contra. They doing all right. They kind of tribish. They kind of. leaders of the new schoolish.
Even them, yeah, the leaders of the new school, yeah. Nobody want. Where's another Busta Rhymes at? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I know he one of a kind,
Yeah, he's
but
mm,
with
but I know
somebody
what you
who
mean,
just
like his
wanted to,
whole like
yeah,
flavor.
who wanted to bite Busta Rhymes style. Like nobody wanted to bite Bust. Pause. Thing,
Well,
you
I got to
know.
get out of here, guys, but it was great talking and having this discussion on judgmentalness. I think I just
Yeah,
made that up.
yeah, you just made that up. It's okay. That's what we did.
Judgmentalness.
Yeah.
That's what we
And
did.
you can say it since it's a word.
Yeah.
Right. Have a good night. See you guys next time
All
on
right.
Cigar Sundays.
All right.
Bye bye.
Peace,
Peace.
sis. Yeah, we rolling.
It's too easy to make the type of music that's making money.
Let's see what we got right here.
Yeah. Nah, like as long as money is the key or is the goal, like, it's gonna be hard to change anything, right? Because everybody want to chase that bag. Everybody trying to get paid. So
Yeah, that's facts. That's facts, E. It is too easy to make that type of music.
yeah, as long as that's the goal, that's gonna be it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is too easy because it's definitely not lyrical in nature, you know. You know what? I'm gonna drop the link in the chat. Anybody want to come up? The link is in the chat, y'all. If you want to come up, let's see.
Now this is a good bill, bro.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. The link is in the chat. Get my little mechanics down, but yeah. If you don't have anything else, I'm gonna go ahead and close out the show for this evening. And I want to thank everybody for watching, for joining us on Cigar Sundays Live. Y'all, we're gonna try and do this every single Sunday right here on Cigar Sundays YouTube channel. Please share, like, comment, subscribe, and if you want to support the channel, we don't do cash apps or super. I mean, you can do the super chat if you like, but you can hit the link and support. We have merch, so if you want to support the channel, cop some merch. You know, we fly all day. We got DB chefs. You know what I'm saying? So
BK so far.
you know, go check out BK Soul Farms on Instagram, YouTube, all the social media. I'm telling you, Amazon. Tell us about that. Tell us about your book, God, please.
Uh 1016, 160 self 160 degrees self sustainability. It's a book all about going from nowhere to somewhere, right? So I'm taking a novice person that don't know nothing about growing and being sustainable and making it palatable, showing them practical ways to think about food. How many different ways can you feed yourself depending on your environment? Show you how to raise chicken, fish, different kind of animals. I talk about different grow methods as far as in ground, raised beds, aquaponics. We talk about a bunch of different things, right? Just I really my main focus is on not being fantastic and getting a big dream out of your head and getting down on the ground and getting practical, right? Solving your right now problem of food, clothing, shelter, and the protection of that. Um, Forget about being rich and famous. How many chickens do I need? How many eggs do I need to supply for my family? How many chickens do we eat in a year? How many chickens do we eat in a month? How many fish do we eat? What kind of fish do we eat? Can I grow those fish in my living room, right? I got tilapia growing in my living room. Um, I got about 200. They're about 4 inches long now that that I spawned earlier this year. Um, Catfish in the back pond. You know, it's I'm just trying to show everybody, I'm a Brooklyn dude, but anything is possible. You just really just need the desire and want to, right? It's not about talking, right? That's why I say, like, forget about all the fantastical stuff. Just focus on what it is that you're trying to do, and just do that. So my book is all about that. 1016, 160 self sustainability, right? Um, that's it.
Where and where can everybody get that? Cause I'm gonna drop a link.
Oh yeah, you can cop that on bksoulfarm.com. And go to shop. It's available. So I don't like telling people it's available on Amazon because I don't get paid. So for everybody out there, right? If you know anybody that writes a book, that do music, that creates anything, buy that stuff from that person, right? Get it from where that person tell you to get it from, right? To where they make the most money, right? So a book at an Amazon, while it sells, you're not really helping out the author, right? Amazon acts as if they wrote the book and they deserve the majority of your money. So if you are looking to support a person, buy the merch from that person. Don't buy bootleg secondhand from somebody else.
Yes, please do not bootleg any DB Chef TV apparel or anything from BK Soul Farms or anything from Iron House.
Please.
No bootleg, nothing. Call us directly. You know what I'm saying? Call
You know what I
direct.
mean?
The DM, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff, man. You can
All
find it
that.
everywhere. All across all the social medias, and definitely. Well, I thought family was gonna come back up, but once again, we thank everybody. You know what I'm saying, for joining us this evening. Please come back and join us again if you had time next Sunday. And we're gonna try to make this a regular thing. And everybody have a peaceful night and a positive rest of your week, productive rest of your week as well. And yeah, we out of here. Peace.
Peace.